你好，这一节要介绍 SketchUp 的另一个不常用的功能，就是照片匹配建模。10多年前，照片匹配功能刚出现的时候，也曾经热过一阵子，但很快，大家就发现这是一个中看不中用、好玩不实用的东西，热情就迅速消退了。那么，到底是什么原因造成这样的结果呢？首先，照片匹配这个功能对建模所需要参照的照片要求太多，要求太高。请看，下面列出 SketchUp 官网对照片匹配所需照片的要求。首先，照片拍摄的角度需要符合严格的2点透视，也就是说，建筑物离相机最近的应该是一个墙角，照片上要能看得清建筑物相邻的2个墙面，最好呈45度夹角，除非正好你想为一栋独立的房子建模，不然很难拍摄到符合要求的照片。不信你可以去试试。就算你的运气好，拍到了符合2点透视的照片，恐怕你也难过第2关。第2关是，照片上的建筑物不能被任何树木、植物、车辆、人物等遮挡。即使派专业人员去现场拍摄，也很难获取同时符合这2个要求的照片。第3，照片不能被裁剪过。就算你的运气好到了极点，拍到了符合要求的照片，也不要太高兴，还要看照片上的建筑物是不是适合用来做照片匹配建模。照片匹配建模所用的投影贴图原理，限制了对象建筑物的形状，必须是简单的、方方正正的形状。下面展示的这些照片上的建筑物就不能，或者不大能方便的用照片匹配的方法来建模。至少有一部分会丢失投影贴图，失去了照片匹配建模的优点和初衷。还有，即使你花了很大的精力，用 SketchUp 的照片匹配功能创建的模型，也只能得到一个大致的尺寸或形状，无法做到哪怕是大约说得过去的尺寸和比例。这种模型做出来，除了玩玩，还有多少实际价值？最后，设计实践中，很少有对已经存在的建筑要依葫芦画瓢建模的需要。就算要搞旧房改造工程，拍张照片 PS 一下就行了。除非是想为 Google 地球义务劳动，把模型弄到 Google 地球上去，有谁愿意花大量精力去做这种傻事呢？考虑到也许还有少数人仍然有兴趣研究这个功能，后面附上了 SketchUp 官网的2段视频。老怪我花了一整天听译， 做了中文字幕，比我自己撰稿做教程还辛苦，只是为了给你一个权威的参考。在老怪 SketchUp 系列教程的其他部分，可能会用一定的篇幅，分成室内和室外专题来详细讨论这个功能的建模实例。前提是我能拍到符合要求的照片。
To understand how matching a photo works in SketchUp, let's take a quick look at the basic principles of perspective and how they apply. We'll analyze this scene as an example. Basic perspective says that parallel lines will appear to converge toward the horizon when viewed in perspective. Many of the pieces of the building are parallel. So if we extended imaginary lines, we can see how they appear to converge toward the horizon when viewed in perspective. This is the basis for how matching a photo works. Let's export an image of this model and start a new file. Let's import the image by going to File, Import, and finding the image file on your computer. Make sure to change the file type to image files. And for matching a photo, make sure to choose Use as New Match Photo, then import the image. The image is placed as a background image in SketchUp, and a grid of red, green, and blue lines is displayed. You can see by grabbing and dragging around on the red and green axis bars, you can affect the overall grid, which is really affecting the perspective. Now use the axis bars to align the grid to your photo. Click and drag on the bar itself or on the bar grips. Think of the parallel elements of the building. Try to adjust the edges such that they are lined up with the parallel objects in your photo. And do this both for the red and the green pair of axis bars. For more accuracy when placing the bar grips, you can roll the scroll wheel of your mouse to zoom in and out of the photo. In addition to placing the axis bars, you also need to place the axis itself. Click and drag on the axis origin and place it over a meaningful spot on your image. Typically, this would be a corner of the building that is near your view. Remember when you're placing the axis to grab the origin itself and not the actual green, red, or blue axes. This is a good point to look at the Styles dialog box, which can be found in the Window menu. Under the Edit tab, in the Match Photo section, you can toggle the background photo on and off, and change the opacity of the background image as well. A Match Photo dialog box is also found under the Window menu. Here you have the option to turn the model itself on and off when you need to look at the image fully. You can also scale the grid to start drawing accurately. In the Match Photo box, change the spacing distance to a meaningful unit, such as 5 or 10 feet. Notice the grid spacing changes as you change the spacing. With the correct spacing, click and drag on one of the red, green, or blue axes to increase or decrease the size. If I knew this building was 30 feet tall, I might use a spacing of 10 feet, then drag the axis until there are 3 grid spaces. If I change the grid spacing to 5 feet, I would then drag the axis until there were 6 grid units from the base to the top of the building to achieve 30 feet. With the axis placed and the axis bars aligned to your image, right or context click and choose Done. You can see the axis is oriented to your image, ready for you to work on. When you're modeling from a photo, it is essential that you build your geometry from the origin. Doing so assures that you are creating edges and surfaces that will be correct in perspective. As these first surfaces are built from the origin, you can then continue to build outward using the previous geometry. However, if you start drawing over your photo in random locations, you can create geometry that appears correct from this view, but orbiting shows how it is wrong. Always start from the axis origin and work outward from there. As you've seen, you can easily check the model geometry by orbiting. To get back to the photo match view, use the Scene tab that is created for you. In fact, this Scene tab comes in handy when modeling. Say we needed to continue an edge from this back surface. Simply orbit and start your line. Click on the Scene tab to return to the image view, and then draw the line with the image reference. When modeling, it is also useful to toggle the X-ray mode on. This will allow you to refer to the image when drawing over existing surfaces. Another tip for modeling with matched photos is to understand and use inferencing. The ability to lock edges along axis directions and reference other geometry will be crucial to your success. Make sure you know how to use inferencing and inference locking in SketchUp if you want to use matched photo. This covers the basics of modeling with photos. Be sure to watch the next video to see how to use it in real-world situations and to combine multiple images together when matching photos. When you are taking or considering pictures for matching a photo, be sure to follow these guidelines. Try to take the images from a corner of the building so you get a good view of both sides of the building. Try to get a clear picture of just the building without trees or other visible obstacles in the way. Also, any image you use must not be cropped. Keep this in mind if you want to use images from a book or the web, as they probably have been cropped and won't work well. Finally, when you do bring the image into SketchUp, try to line up the axis bars with elements on the building and not the ground plane. Often the line where the building meets the ground is not parallel to the rest of the building as the ground slopes. With your picture ready, let's bring it into SketchUp. Again, this is simply using the Import option from the File menu. Make sure that Use as New Matched Photo is selected and open the image. As you saw in the last video, adjust the axis bars to line up with the parallel elements in your image. Remember as well to place the axis origin at a corner or meaningful place in your image. Make sure to take advantage of zooming with the scroll wheel, as micro adjustments do make a big difference with getting the best results. With the adjustments made, right or context click and choose Done. Now let's start modeling over the image, remembering to work from the origin outward. For example, I would start by drawing this wall. And once it is created based on the axis origin, I can go in and add detail to it. However, if I started drawing a wall without any reference to the origin, even though it appears correct from this view, orbiting shows that it is not. Let's fast forward on this model such that we have more of it built. Of course, we are limited by not being able to see and work around the corners. In fact, you can insert additional images so that you can turn the corners and keep working. Start by orbiting the model so it roughly matches the next image you will bring in. In our example, this is the next photo we will use. So orbit the building such that the view is similar. Now import the image for photo matching. Set up the axis bars to match the perspective. This is a good opportunity to toggle the model off in the Match Photo dialog box so we can better see to adjust the axis bars. Then move the axis origin to the same location that we had established from the last photo. It was over here at this corner. Now toggle the model back on, and you can see the orientation is correct, but the size is not. Simply click and drag on red, green, or blue axes to size the building. A few adjustments and this looks pretty close. Keep in mind that you'll want to try and match the model as closely as possible to the image. So don't be frustrated that it doesn't line up absolutely perfectly for all aspects. Finish editing the match photo properties and you can begin modeling again using this new photo for reference. Scene tabs are created automatically for any new image you add, and you can cycle between them with ease. In this way, it is possible to combine many photo references to model from. We'll fast forward again to having more of the building modeled. Select several faces, and then right or context click on one of the faces and choose Project Photo. Now orbit to get the full effect of what we've done. The actual photo image has been mapped onto the model. That is amazing enough for a few faces, but let's do the whole model. Click the Scene tab to get back to the photo view. Select the entire model. Right or context click on a surface and choose Project Photo from the Match Photo dialog box. Because the photo is projected straight to the model, there will be areas, particularly around corners, where the photo won't match correctly to the model. But overall, this is a quick way to add a lot of texture to the model. If you've loaded multiple images, make sure to view those sides as well and project the photos there. Also, when working with additional sides, make sure to only select the faces you want to affect and then project the photo. A dialog box will appear if you're projecting a photo to a face that you already applied the photo to. As long as you've selected the correct faces, say yes to apply the correct photo. We've been talking about how to create models from photos, but now let's switch gears. What if you're creating a new model and you want to put it into the surrounding context? Match Photo will do just that, and you already know how to make it happen from what we've previously learned. Take this example of an existing SketchUp model, and we'd like to place it in the context of this photo. First, orbit within your model so the view matches the photo you want to use. Then import the image as we've done before. Now use the axis bars and align the perspective. It is helpful to toggle the model off for this step. Once the axis bars are lined up, toggle the model back on and click and drag the axis origin of the model to match the photo. Click and drag on one of the axes to scale the model to the photo, and that's it. Right or context click and choose Done to finish. Now you can view your new project properly placed into its real-world context.